In a world bustling with the chaos of modern life, it's easy to overlook the profound impact of spirituality. It's more than a belief system, it's a guiding force that transcends boundaries, significance of spirituality in our daily lives. From finding inner peace amidst the turmoil to cultivating compassion in our interactions, spirituality provides a compass that navigates us through life's ebbs and flows. It's the foundation upon which we build our character and the solace we seek in times of uncertainty. Through various practices and traditions, people across cultures have discovered the power of spirituality to nurture their souls and foster a deeper connection with the world around them. It's a universal language that transcends the boundaries of race, religion, and creed. But the impact of spirituality isn't confined to personal growth alone. It ripples outward, influencing the way we relate to others, fostering empathy and inspiring acts of kindness. It's a force that compels us to be the best versions of ourselves. Join us as we explore the profound significance of spirituality in our daily lives, uncovering the ways it shapes our perspectives, fuels our passions, and ultimately leads us to a deeper understanding of our purpose in the world. Get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery and connection. Welcome to the world of spirituality, where every moment is an opportunity to finding meaning and embrace the beauty of existence. Spirituality is a broad concept with room for many perspectives. In general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves, and it typically involves a search for measuring in life. As such, it's a universal human experience, something that touches us all. People may describe a spiritual experience as sacred or transcendent or simply a deep sense of aliveness and interconnectedness. Some may even find that spirituality is something which is really a mystic information. But do you know that spirituality is something which is always lying core in our heart? We sometimes do not even realize what exactly is the importance of spirituality. And sometimes people do not even really do what exactly is required to be spiritual in life. In this session, we are going to really know all these things, that how to really become spiritual in life and what is the significance of spirituality in our daily life. Spirituality, which is a bigger cause than our life, which is beyond even the imagination of human beings. And that is somehow somebody has said that we are all spiritual beings with human experience. So without wasting much time, we'll straight away go into a webinar today and we'll understand that what it takes to really become spiritual in life. Normally whenever we talk about this kind of topic, people always have a question in their mind that why suddenly we are talking about spirituality. Is it something going to be related to religion, something related to yoga? And all these things are the basic questions people have. And they ask me, and even this time also, a lot of people reached me. And, interestingly, I did a poll, and it was unfortunate. There was a mistake in the spelling of the poll, the poll. And then people started questioning me that what does it mean actually? So is it a role? So it was ROLL. So people started asking me. I said that it's a typo error. But don't you think that it's a good cause that you are connecting with me?
Exactly, that you stirred that engagement based on that, and now you
Absolutely.
have a conversation with someone where maybe you wouldn't have had one at all with that same
Yeah.
individual.
And people have come across. But interestingly, what I found is it was like 90% plus percentage of the population in my LinkedIn community believes that spirituality plays a bigger role for their success. So I'm amazed
Mm,
to know that people still believe it. And in 21st century, if people are talking about that spirituality really matters, that means we should not be disappointed from the humanity. We are
yeah,
still there. So that is where actually the essence of our topic today. So I'm sure like we'll be discussing more on that. I'm just waiting for one more speaker to join in. He is Mr. Sanjit, and then we can start.
excited. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. And in fact, this is something which I believe is the essence of all our existence. Means, nevertheless, whatever the field we are in, whatever the social identity we have, but what exactly boils down is ultimately the spiritual existence. So I think that is really very important, which we would be talking about today. So we have Mr. Sanjit.
I must say it's quite nice to see a lot of punctual people before a meeting.
Oh yes,
Normally
oh
with
yes.
Portuguese
You
like
know that is
myself,
that is the
you
order.
say we're
That is
meeting
the
at 2
order
o'clock
of.
South African time.
Hi, Mr. Sanjit. Welcome.
Very good evening. Very
Yes,
good
Mr.
evening.
Anna. Yeah.
Yes, I would say Remanto particularly knows my, my speciality about punctuality.
Oh yes, yes. We all know that, and particularly I know
Remanto is
since
very
my.
aware how
Yeah,
particular I am.
yeah. You have been always very punctual. That is really admired. We all have been appreciating that. Wherever there's a training, Anam has always shown up as the first person. So that is really good about Anam. And I'm sure like we all try to be punctual in our fields. That is what exactly is one of the identity being a true professional. Appreciated, Anam. So I think, hi Karthik.
Hello, Mr. Sir. Hello, sir. How are you?
It's really a pleasure, Karthik, to see you. I'm sure you are first time joining our session, and I'm so happy, so glad that you have made it possible. And I'm sure you are going to take away some real nuggets of life, real
Positive.
nuggets of being human. I think that is really important today. So let's set the background. Welcome you all, greetings, and a lot of good wishes for being a part of this life-changing seminar. We basically call this as a live webinar because this is on a philanthropic purpose, and I'm sure the great minds who are present today as our guest speakers, they're really going to make wonders, and they're really going to share a lot of information about this topic, which is really a very noble and a divine topic, I believe, that spirituality in daily life, or rather I can say, what is the significance of spirituality in daily life? Before we really go on that discussion, I think that is something which is important for us to understand, that why suddenly we are talking about spirituality, or what exactly is the essence of this topic in the today's life, how exactly it is really relevant. We all know that today life is very uncertain. We all know that today we have a lot of challenges, a lot of clashes of ego, a lot of crises, and a lot of things which really happens, which is sometimes beyond our control. But have you ever wondered that why exactly we are chasing for all these things? We are chasing just for pleasure, just for feeling happy. But we really forget that happiness is not the external thing. Happiness is always an internal thing. We are always chasing for some materialistic comfort. We want to get certain things in life, whether it is a new gadget, whether it is a new facility, or certain accolades and opportunities. We always think that these things are going to make us happy, but it is always a mirage or some kind of illusion which we are living altogether. But that is always the outer cause. But we always forget that it is the inward cause or the inner thing which we really do not look into life. Someone has said very nicely that spiritual, if I discern this word, it comes as spirit behind the ritual. So how exactly people do the causes of these various ritual ceremonies in life without even understanding that what is the spirit in doing those rituals. Imagine a 20 years teenager or an adolescent guy, why he should be really listening to this topic if he doesn't find it interesting that how exactly this thing is going to impact his life. So I think the spirit itself has to be correct in the first place. We have to make the spirit correct. We have to understand what exactly is the modus operandi in going for that. And if I really want to say spirituality, I'm sure you all are experts would be saying more, but I understand spirituality is something bigger than life, something which is beyond even our explanation. If we know spirituality, we'll come to know why we are here. We'll come to know what exactly is the secret of universe. We'll come to know who am I. We'll come to know that why exactly even we are existing on this world, what exactly is the purpose. And if we are really here, then are we really doing justice to what exactly we are supposed to do? So all these causes are really today going to be discussed, and I'm sure we have some great minds who are really passionate about their career journey, and they are really inclined today because they have a common interest, which is very close to all of our heart, and that is spirituality. I would basically start this session formally with a hymn which is in Sanskrit, because as you know, that I'm from India and most of us from India. So we actually believe that spirituality is something where we have got a larger inheritance of spirituality because of our Eastern origin, and some of our brothers and sisters who also believe in that. So today I would just like to start this spirituality. First, I will discern the meaning of spirituality in Sanskrit. So in Sanskrit, spirituality means adhyatma. It actually means adi, which is means higher, and atman, which is like the soul. So when you are talking about super soul or something which is at higher realms, we are all actually on the path. No one is away from spirituality. You can say it's a spectrum of journey. So we are always in that spectrum. But what happens when we get more closer to the realization? We are progressing in the path of spirituality. So that is why we call it Adin Atman, or basically Adi Atma or Adhyatma. That means spirituality. So let us start with a hymn which is very revered and which is really considered as one of the Sanskrit sloka, which basically to welcome God. I will also translate the same in English. I'm sure when I say this sloka, I would really request all of you to close your eyes and maybe think of that super soul or the super energy or the God, or if there is nothing, there is something which really guides us for this session today. So let's fold our hands and let's call this superpower within ourselves. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mritto Ma Mritangamaya. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from the darkness to the light. Lead us from the death to the immortality. Om. Peace, peace. Om Shanti, Shanti. So Shanti is basically the word which reflects the peace. Let's take an inner breathe in ourselves. Let's inhale the air, the presence of the divine, which really makes the aura of this session today a power-packed, spiritually charged session. And I always believe that we really believe in something called as God. But do you know what is exactly my meaning of God? I believe G-O-D, God means gratitude to the divine. So it's like gratitude to the divine. So more you really give gratitude to the divine for the cause that we are existing, for the cause we are breathing, for the cause we are connected today, that interconnectedness, that is why we are exactly discussing this noble session. So without making much story, I will really go and introduce my honorable speakers, guest speakers today. So chronologically, I can see from in my screen, I will just go and randomly take their names. We have Michael De Freitas, who is basically a very talented person, talented speaker. He's a good friend of mine, my brother, and wavelengths always match. That is why Michael is here today. Michael is from South Africa, Johannesburg. Michael is basically a legal expert in HR, and at the same time, he always speaks on various forums. I welcome you, Michael, for this show. We
Thank you
have
for having
Mr.
me
Sanjit
yesterday.
Basu. Sanjit is basically a river trainer who basically has been speaking on several sessions, and he is also a good public speaker. So welcome, Sanjit, for this interesting show today. We have Ms. Miljoy. We have Ms. Miljoy Polistico, who is basically first time in our show, and I'm sure we are really excited to listen from her. She's a wonderful personality. She's an energy mentor. I have actually connected through a social network, and I'm really glad that she has accepted my invitation. She is from Australia, as she said, and she actually keeps herself busy in understanding the energy realms and also training people, training different corporates. She herself is a celebrated speaker, celebrated motivator, a mentor, and I'm sure as a mentor, we are really going to get you for this show, and we will be learning so many nuggets of spirituality today. Welcome, madam. We also have Miss Mohana. Miss Mohana is a young YouTuber. She's studying law, and she's here today as a legal enthusiast. But of course, today we would be looking her knowledge as a teenager, what she thinks for spirituality, how exactly she can contribute. We'll also look into that. Welcome, Mohana. We have Mr. Arnab Boral, who is basically one of the talented and maverick speaker, a wonderful motivator, a good friend of mine, a good soul, who always actually believes that standing for a good cause is always the purpose of life. And that is why he's here today. We are really touched by his passion and his dignity that he has given a word. That's why even he's traveling to a different city, but still he has kept his promise to join us from his birth journey. So I hope that we can listen to him. Welcome, Arnab.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have Mr. Leonard, all the way from DRC. Mr. Leonard is also an advisory expert of PMA. He is a revered professor, also an order of a particular Christian religion where exactly he's practicing the spirituality. He's a member of Asiatic Society, a senior professor who has basically been an like a worker of Serbian embassy in past, but recently these days he's working as a HR. He's also a trainer. So Mr. Leonard, welcome you to the show. And I'm sure that you are going to tell us something about African spirituality, which is more important and interesting. So we'll be listening to you. Likewise, we have Karthik. I can see Swagata, and I'm sure like many people who would be listening to this show afterwards. So welcome you all for this power-packed divine session. So I would request today, maybe if we can start with our new guest speaker, Ms. Miljoy. If you could start the session. We also have another speaker today. Before I really ask Ms. Miljoy to start, her name is Veronica. She is an author, motivator, but due to her like tight schedule, she couldn't like show up for this session. But she has sent a small video, and she has requested me if I can show it to the participants. So I would like to go and share my screen before we even go ahead. So this is where actually we can see the video. Is it visible to all? My screen is visible to all. Once it is visible, please tell me.
It is visible.
Yes,
Could we have a sound check with it?
Yes.
Hello, friends. It's a true privilege being able to share this message with you today. And so here it goes. There is no separation between what is spiritual and what isn't. There is no enlightenment to reach. The light is already here within us. And so our only spiritual practice really is remembering this and reminding ourselves of the beauty that we're all part of. And so with this, I would like to offer this reminder to you today. And as you close your eyes, simply noticing the divinity that you are blessed, that you are loved, that you are beautiful. Namaste.
So I would request Ms. Miljoy, without much of waiting, Madam, if you are really ready and comfortable, we can start. What do you think is
Thanks.
about this topic?
I didn't know that I would have the honor to start. Yeah, so thank you for inviting me and letting me open this session. I think a great place to always begin is at the beginning. And I think when it comes to spirituality, how did it actually come to you from when you were born? I know for myself, being a third culture kid, I was born in the Philippines. I grew up in Australia, and then I moved and lived in Singapore for 13 years. So in the Philippines, it's a highly Catholic country. However, we are very in tune with the plants, the trees, the ocean, Mother Nature, and everything that we do works with the seasons, because if you're a farmer, then you really need to be in tune with nature. So for me, when it comes to spirituality, it's really about the connectedness and how your role in life. Then when I moved to Australia, completely different take. It's a colonized country. So Catholic, being a Catholic in the Philippines is a celebration. In Australia, it was an obligation to actually, go to church. And there's also a great connection to nature. Australians love to be out in nature. However, there was no connection or divinity. It was something that we went for a walk as an activity in Australia. However, in the Philippines, it was more how we contributed to the environment and the environment contributed to us. So yeah, I think my definitions and interaction and development of my spirituality has, grown over time. I lost what it was in the Philippines and created a new definition in Australia. And of recent years, I was reconnected with that union with nature and working with nature and working with shamanic energy practices. So, I combine traditional coaching with shamanic energy practices to work with clients and individuals to clear what's blocking them, clear the beliefs that no longer serve us, or the beliefs and things that we've inherited from past lives and passed down generations. So I think that's where I would start, and quite curious of, how has everybody else's spirituality, how did it begin, and what has it shaped into today?
That's really amazing. And I'm sure, Ms. Miljoy, that I'm really in sync with what exactly you said. I'm sure all our participants, I'm sure they also have the similar feelings. And we're really lucky, I should say, to get you as a speaker, because we have to learn so many new things which you have said. And it's particularly about the energy realms, which you talked about, how exactly it is really resembling with the current life, how exactly we can get drawn, attracted to it. We'll be definitely looking forward to it. So I would request Mr. Michael, if he can make a brief start with this topic.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I may briefly just mention, just to give you a bit of background for myself, as Miljoy had mentioned, and then give you my 2 cents, and then see what everyone else has to share. Promise to be very quick. I grew up my entire life in a Christian household, a religious household. And just to highlight that from the most part, where that links with spirituality is a lot of foundational principles that the practice offers. So when I then left the common weekly practice of being a what you call a Christian, now in 2023, I have come to implement a lot of the foundational principles, where some might consider meditation in the morning as a form of them connecting with their spirituality. I myself would play maybe some Christian worship music that grounds me on a morning, and that is where I've been finding my link, and that is pretty much my history. I've been involved as well as in non-profit organizations throughout my whole life, either being a church entity, serving in a cause greater than myself, helping people that could never help me back. Another principle, as well as being involved in the Portuguese community, running a cultural club to ensure that there are generations that will follow, to keep the Portuguese traditions alive within our country in South Africa, and basically combat the deterioration over the years. As new generations are born, the link to their roots start to weigh thin. And being a part of something like that and feeling that I am contributing tangibly to that is ultimately where I often find myself connected with spirituality, through dance, cultural dancing, through the serving the community, making a place for people to connect, as well as in my past being involved a lot with the Christian church, and a lot of those principles I still implement today. And I look forward to hearing more from everyone else.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. It was really impressive. And we are also looking forward to know more about your cultural and spiritual connection, how exactly we can really recharge and we can stay spiritual. Thank you. I would request Mr. Sanjit to say something about himself and the topic today.
Yeah, thank you so much for, it's really nice to getting back in this wonderful surrounding, wonderful evening. So particularly my take on spirituality is, most of us, we just confuse with the two terms, religious and spirituality. So in my view, on what I have read from different books, that religious and religion and spirituality are two different aspects of life. So one can be spiritual, not being religious, that I believe. And to be spiritual, it is not that it is outer thing, it is the inner thing. So how you connect with your soul, and at the same time how you connect with others. And to be spiritual, one need to have the calmness, that to sit in a meditation and to hear the breathing, he can connect with the breathing. So this is very, very important. And first of all, we have to understand that who am I, and what is my purpose in this world, and what I want to do, or what kind of difference I want to make in my journey of life. Somewhere I read a very good quotation that I think all of you might know that. It's a very well-known quotation, is that when you were born, you cried and everybody rejoiced, and live your life in such a way that when you die, you will rejoice and everybody will cry. So this is what I believe, that you must make an impact in the society, in your place, in your country, that you would be remembered even after you go away from this world. And to do this, one has to have so many qualities, that spiritual quality, that how you treat others, how you how compassionate you are others, your kindness, your words, that how you treat others. So these are very, very important. But in our society, we always confuse these two things, religious and spirituality. So if somebody is not religious, so people don't take it as a spiritual. So spirituality means that everybody thinks you have to pray, you have to go to the temple, or you have to go to the church, or you have to go to there and there. So in my point of view, going to the church or going to the temple, going to the mosque is not that important, but how you treat. So in this time, we are sending satellite to the moon. We are just firing missile with a pinpoint accuracy. But the thing is that we don't have the time to go across to the neighbor who resides just in front of our place. We don't have the time to give time to the son or daughter that I promise to take him to the place where he or she wants to go. So in this rat race of working, in the rat race of our daily life, we just forget these small things that makes a big change in the society. So be compassionate, be be kind to the others, and try to find the meaning of your life, that why you are here, what small thing you can contribute to the society, and that small thing will change, make a big impact in the society. So this is what I believe, that what spirituality I mean. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really was trying to reply, Michael. Yes, Michael, I understand that you are also resonating with what Mr. Sanjit is saying. He wrote about that still he is asking himself that who am I? And that is such an important question. And he understands what exactly Mr. Sanjit is saying. I believe it is really important every time we hear this kind of words, we have to do a self-introspection, take an inward journey. And every time we take an inward journey, we really find the cause, that why exactly we are looking for. And I can see also Ms. Milchoy has also written that the journey begins again. Absolutely. So I would request Mr. Arnab to come in if it's possible and to share a few words about this topic and what exactly he feels about this session today.
Sure. Thank you so much, Renato. To start with, I'm not a very straightforwardly seriously spiritual person per se. But there is one person that I'm sure everybody that listens to this webinar ever will know about, and that is Swami Vivekananda ji. And Swami Vivekananda ji said two things about spirituality, one of which is spirituality is the science of life. That's the first one. And the second one that he talked about was, to reach God, you do not need to go to a temple and pray. You do something with passion and you can achieve God. So if you are a footballer and you love playing football, play football with all your heart and you can achieve that level of spirituality, that level of satisfaction, that level of happiness that you need to reach that super self that you want to become, or that you should ideally become in your life. I mean, I think that would be the beginning to this webinar, this particular webinar on this particular topic. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Arnab, for your sweet and simple and to the point explanation of the topic. We really understand that whatever we do, it should be done with 100% commitment. And when we really do it as per our passion and when we are inclined to it, we do it with honesty. It really is a wonderful thing. And I think the bigger, realization of this particular topic is when we talk about living the life with the fullest sincerity, that how much we are really convicted to ourselves, convicted to the fact that what we are, and then only we can go to the meaning of who am I. So I'll be really looking forward for more discussion on this. I'll quickly go to Mohana. Mohana, if you could just quickly say about yourself and the relevance of this topic today.
A very warm greetings to everybody. And as you already said, I am studying law, a legal enthusiast, but here today I'm just not to discuss anything regarding that. Today, I basically am here to discuss the spiritual dimension of Indian culture. As I belong from India, and in a country like India where there are varied religions, where there are varied cultures, and it's a country where there is unity in diversity, as we say. So here spirituality means different things to different people. Here the spiritual beliefs and customs, these two vary like from people to people in a great way. So I'm just here to discuss that how it works in this country and how it is even relevant for the for the entire world, and how it connects the world together. And of course India is like a country which is the mother of spirituality, which everybody is aware of, I'm sure. And I'm just here to discuss what are the impacts of spirituality on mental health, and what are the positive impacts of spirituality. And yeah.
Thank you, Mohana. Thank you so much. We'll definitely come back to you. I would quickly ask Mr. Leonard, who is also there. Mr. Leonard, if you are there, if you could also say the relevance of today's topic and introduce yourself to us.
Okay, thank you. Here just an idea for about the spirituality DRC. The spirituality in DRC starts our system were living on the earth before the arrival of the human people on the history. And before the 15th century, they are supposed to be intertwined with
There is some noise coming. Sir, if you can just take care, there is some noise coming. I don't know why. Some noise is coming. Yeah, I would request if you can just tell us a little bit about your understanding of the topic, and then maybe you can tell us more about the topic, about the maybe the relevance of this topic in African context. Maybe first you can tell me something about your understanding of this topic. How do you think this topic is relevant for us?
No, it is very important to go deeper with this topic so that we can know how can we prepare the future of our life since we are here on the earth like 4 minutes. That's the main idea.
Okay, I think there is some audio issue. We'll quickly come back to Mr. Leonard after some time. I believe there will be some network challenge, but I will come back to Mr. Leonard when the audio will be clear, and I'm sure all of us can hear him better what exactly he's saying. What I understand, sir, is trying to say that spirituality is something very relevant, and from the regular life's perspective, as we say that spirituality in daily life, it is so important, and everybody should understand the significance of this noble topic in our life and how exactly we can harness the benefit of spirituality that we should discuss. I'll quickly come back to Mr. Sanjit. Mr. Sanjit, maybe in few words, if you have to say that what exactly do you think one can do to lead a spiritual life? Maybe a quick thing, and then we go to the next.
Yeah. One thing, what I believe is that be honest to oneself. One should be honest to himself or herself. So if somebody is honest to himself or herself, that is, I think, he or she is living a spiritual, life.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very, very important. Sometimes, most of the time, not sometimes, most of the times we fake. We try to show the others what we are not, or most of the times we say something which we don't believe or which we don't resonate with ourselves. So this is very, very important. If somebody really leads to life of a spiritual life, then one should be very, very honest to himself or herself, and that is what I believe. And that is what I also try to maintain in my life.
Thank you, sir. I'll quickly come back to you. I will go to Ms. Miljoy and ask that, as we have understood that most of the time we are trying to, put up a fake mask on our face, and we are not really doing we are not being honest to ourselves. And that is somewhere we miss out between the reality and spirituality. Or maybe we can say that the real self and the surreal self. So what exactly do you think, where exactly do you think is the barrier of identity crisis and the ego crisis? Because what I understand, these days most of us are basically getting drawn by the identity and the ego. And where exactly do you think is really the right way to balance between these two things and really go on the path of spirituality? Because what Mr. Sanjit said, very simple, but it is not really very simple to follow in life. So maybe Ms. Miljoy, if you can just highlight on this part.
Yeah, I think for me, I have the one word that comes up for me is acceptance. We don't know what we don't know. So I may think I'm spiritual, however, somebody else perceives me as egotistical. And so they see me as going down the wrong route or doing spirituality wrong. And who am I to say that their opinion isn't right? So, and for me, I completely embrace the ego because it is part of ourselves. It is part of the environment that's created this in our intellect, in our body. So to embrace it and accept it and become aware that it's there rather than it controlling you, I think is maybe where the difference is. However, the way people perceive me is not going to be the same all the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you. Mr. Michael, since you have always been asking this question to yourself, that who am I? Let me ask you a question today. Every time when you ask this question, how much honest you are to get the right answer? Or what exactly you do so that you get the right
to
answer?
give the answer to someone, to myself,
To yourself.
to answer myself.
Of course.
I think nowadays what often happens for myself specifically, if I speak from experience, is I assess a situation and I'll assess my life and I'll say, okay, I'm 28 years old. Here's what me as a 28-year-old man, here's what I wanted to become in my life. Here's what I wanted to accomplish, A, B, and C, and D. Here's where I'm at. Life hasn't necessarily turned out the way I'd hoped or I'd expected it, but often I try to be as harsh as possible, or not harsh, maybe as real and raw as possible with myself and say, okay, what have I done that has resulted in me getting 1 or 2 steps closer to that list of what I want to achieve in my life? But in that same retrospect, I have to ask myself all the time and say, is A, B, C, and D what I want in my life? Is it worth pursuing? What is the purpose of me wanting to own a bigger home than what I already have now, where I do not lack in my life already? What would that purpose be? If you guys don't mind, I would love to just briefly share something that I received that I saw on social media this week, and I thought it would enrich you guys and perhaps it would stimulate conversation. I'll cut it short. Basically, what it says is, in 100 years from today, we will all be buried with our relatives and our friends. Strangers will live in our homes that we fought so hard to build. And they will own everything that we have today. All our possessions will be unknown and unborn, including the car we spent a fortune on. And we probably it could be scrap, preferably probably in the hands of an unknown collector. It continues to read on that after we die, we'll be remembered for a few or more years. Then we are just a portrait on someone's bookshelf. Basically, the ultimate point this is trying to create, just in terms of time, I would like to just keep it short and let everyone share, is that I often remind myself that, if I want to, spirituality is far more than me deciding, that it is not a selfish, it is not something selfish that I should be pursuing. I shouldn't be trying to just become something just for myself if I'm not making a true impact on the lives around me. And that is where I have to be, as you've asked, as real and raw with myself. I would say a good 8 out of 10 times, but I'm here today to maybe make it a bit better.
Thank you, Michael, for such an honest, to the point answer. I would quickly come back to you, Michael, after some time. I would really ask Mr. Arnab that what exactly Mr. Arnab thinks that what one exactly should do to really be very neutral when exactly we are trying to become spiritual, and sometimes when we are talking about religious, because there could be so many people who are not really religious, or really they don't have the belief on this so-called rituals, because religion is nothing but rituals and certain systems and certain beliefs which you have been practicing. But the religion is not complete unless and until you have the right spirit behind that ritual or the religion. So, Mr. Arnab, it's over to you. If you can just tell us about how exactly one can really stick to being spiritual in life, if you're there. Mr. Arnab.
Right. Yes. So being religious and being spiritual is like even Milroy was also saying. So being spiritual, again, is being religious is probably more God oriented. However, being spiritual is being, like was mentioned earlier, being true to oneself. Am I actually relating to what I actually am thinking about? Am I doing what I actually show myself to be? Am I committing to myself what I want myself to be? Am I actually delivering to what I want to become in the future? So even what I mentioned about what Swamiji said, there also it talks about the same thing. What it says is do what you want to do with all your heart and all your mind. So spirituality is what you want to do in a much larger sense. So that should be targeted in such a way that you feel so admonishingly satisfied that you feel, oh wow, I have reached that godly spiritual
Yes.
state.
Mr.
Right?
Michael, yes,
Does that
you want to come in?
I want to ask the room. I
Yes,
just want
please,
to ask the
Michael.
room what you are mentioning. On now, sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to ask you. You're mentioning you know what you want to do. I'm 28. This might apply to people that might watch the video. Hence why I wanted to ask this, because I want to know this answer. Is I don't know what I want to do. I studied law. Now I'm doing legal recruitment across Africa. Maybe in 10 years' time I'll sell suits because I love suits. I don't know. And maybe I'll be more fulfilled there and more connected with myself and who I am. I've been able to identify a few characteristics of myself, but how do I make myself capitalize on who I am? Like, what would the first step be, if you could perhaps advise, or the room could advise?
Yes, I would probably say something right here. I'm 42. I'm 43, and honestly, I have a degree in computer sciences, and I have never worked on software development. And Himankar knows it. Mr. Das knows it very well. Interestingly, I have worked with software organizations like Infosys and IBM Global Solutions, but I've primarily worked in marketing. So I have worked most of my life in my working career in marketing. And then when I moved to, training, I found my passion. So eventually, when I found my passion, I found this is what should make a difference in other people's lives. There are people who have actually met me 7, 8 years, 12 years after I have trained them. They have recognized me on the road. You have trained me 11 years back on so and so date at so and so place. I didn't remember that. And they said, this is something which we had mentioned in that session. And I remember that it makes a difference in my life. That is what spirituality would be in my life. Over back
I
to you.
love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
I
Dust,
just
do you
would
have
like to add on. I would like to add on here something which is really very true. What Arnav has said. It is not important that what exactly you end up doing, but what is important is that how much you know yourself. I think these are two things, Michael. First thing is, like, when you were asking that who am I, it is not only the question about your physical being and what exactly you were doing in the society, but what is exactly important is that do you know that what exactly is the purpose for why you are here, and what exactly is the real self of yourself? Because there is always a thing which is after we go from this earth, but we always exist. Soul never dies. So today, what we are calling as Mr. Das or Mr. Michael, we are not even that. We are beyond that, and that is what spirituality is all about. So the other day, I remembered when I was telling you the story of.
That is exactly what even Michael, when Michael was saying, "Who am I?"
Yeah.
Basically, he is who I'm supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Who I'm really supposed to be, which being that satisfies me. That's what I want.
Absolutely, you're very right. But that is what the other part of the thing. You know what exactly is very important, Michael. Most of the time, I have seen a basic phenomenon. I will come to Miss Miljoy also on that, and Mr. Sanjit, who have raised his hand, I will surely come back. But what I wanted to say is that most of the time we miss out on spirituality. You know the reason? We always think the spirituality is something which is for the retirement. Spirituality is something not for now, but for later, and that is where we miss out. I have seen in many of the big magazines, and there are some workshops by so many spiritual guru. They used to say that you want to live a blissful life, you want to live a spiritual life, but what we cannot connect with is we really do not know why exactly is the purpose to connect. And the second thing is that we really concentrate on the person or the trainer, but we don't see what is the objective of the trainer. And the second thing is, which is very important, is that spirituality is about the present, not about future. Of course, there is a future, there is a past, but if we do not live the present, if we do not know what exactly we should be doing today, just now, this moment, now what I should be doing, I cannot go. I think there is something in Indian realms, if I say, there is a spiritual concept called as Advaita or called as undualism. So sometime maybe in some topic I will be discussing on Advaita. So what is actually say the life is one, energy is one. I think Ms. Milja also coming from the energy field, who understands it better. So if you see sun, moon, all this celestial body, the universe, we are a part of the Milky Way. So the earth has been made in such a way that we actually have coped up with this environment. But how? Thousands of years before, if you go back, humans were not actually as comfortable as we are today. We have definitely made ourselves more adaptive, and that is why we exist. So what exactly makes us exist? There is some super energy. When we are actually going through a tough time, when we are going through some grievance, we always need some mental comfort, and that is where we really realize the importance of spirituality. Yes, back to Mr. Sanjit. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity again. So no, I have got few points to make here. As I have been watching and listening to others, that is, we should not seek to follow the footsteps of the wise. Rather, we should seek what they sought. Like the wise person, what we do in our day-to-day life, we try to follow their footsteps. But by following their footsteps is not the solution. But what they sought, we should try to seek that. And another aspect is that we often make the mistake of we are human being with spiritual identity, spiritual experience. But rather it is the reverse. We are spiritual being with human experience.
Absolutely.
So these are the small things. If we really understand, then you'll see, our life will become very easy. That all the problems will go away, whatever we have, little things, all the problems will go away. Okay, thank you.
Sir. I would request Ms. Miljoy, if you can just connect us with your thoughts in this particular context, and what exactly do you think one should do really to make sure that we are really being truthful and we realize the true self, or maybe I can say on the other way, we can get close to self-actualization. What exactly one can do?
Yeah, I mean, as I wrote in the chat, if you're asking and trying to answer the question, who am I? Just ask who's answering that question. And, Sanjit, with what you mentioned about the path that somebody's already, walked, and we shouldn't be following the path of the wise. It goes back to that story where if you enter a forest and there's already a path, that's not your path because it's already been created. So to go back to who am I and who's answering the question, a lot of the times, if I look back in my life, I thought I was answering the question, who am I? But the person that was answering was my parents, was, my teachers. And now as I've come and I pause and I ask, who am I? And I look at the results in my life, I can see the kind of residue that, yes, the influences people have had. And now, as I go to the next chapters of my life, I think, has this path been walked on before? Is it mine? And because, it's great to follow the wise, but in the end, I'm not that wise person. I'm completely unique. And it is also very scary to walk the unknown. So, physiologically, we're going to be like, it's not safe. It's not our comfort zone. Yeah. However, you can feel in your soul that it's singing. For me, well, I know I'm following my path when there's a good mix of tension, excitement, joy, unknown, and then my soul is, in its thriving. But in society and on a piece of paper, it may not follow the traditions or the way life is meant to look like.
May I please ask you a question on that, guys? If that's okay, if you have 1 second, I'd just like to know, because you just mentioned, your soul is singing, and I know this will be fruitful to other people because it's fruitful to me, and I feel I'm being enriched here. is well, how would a person be able to identify or sit down and observe what is it that I can say, okay, here's a signal. You know, like me, I know I love to speak. I'm good with people. That's one signal. Okay, I'm in a good space there. But what else? Like, what is there? Do you have any advice on that?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Arnab was saying, that, you know, the purity and like just that pureness of it's clean. Like, you know, when you're playing football and you're doing it for the joy, there's nothing, but it's everything. And so when you feel that hit in your body, everything is clear and there's nothing but everything. But the difference is, you can have that joy.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was trying to say, because it happens to me when I'm on a public speaking platform and I'm getting onto stage. I have that tingling feeling in me that I'm going to be cracking this and I'm going to be enjoying this because I'm enjoying it, and that's kind of brings out the in a way the spirituality in me. That's what I was trying to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, you know, like when you know you're not in resonance is when that inner critic comes in. Like, you know, you hear your mom's voice or your dad's voice. And it's not a good or bad thing. It's just maybe there's a question you haven't answered yet that doesn't allow you to be in full resonance.
Thank you so much, Ms. Melcher. We got our answer. I would just quickly go back to Mr. Leonard. Mr. Leonard, if you have a good network and if you can come back on the understanding of spirituality from the people in African continent and how exactly people are really resonating with this concept of who am I, understanding the, you know, the real world or the surreal world, how exactly to respond to this. Mr. Leonard.
Normally, the situation has been really understood in a different way in Africa, and especially here in DRC. We have noticed that, for example, when the European people came around the 15th century, so many of the Africans did not accept the way everything had to believe in God. And immediately, at the same time, there were also some people who reacted. The case of one of the person was called at that time in 1921, Mr. Simon, who gave immediately the message to those people to do not follow the way European people have brought their way of praying God. And immediately, they, at that time, many people also have understood the idea of Mr. Simon. And many people have also stopped with the Christianity at that time. And apart from that also, there were also others, many churches.
I think we lost it. Anyway, so what we understand that spirituality is always not the same. Mr. Leonard, you are still there? I think the video froze for a while because of poor network.
Who wanted also to go deeper. Okay. Is Mr. Dominic Pongo, who has brought now a new way of thinking about the spirituality. And he got a revelation to start one church called the Word of God, where no one can eat meat. So it is very strange to be heard by everyone that how come that a black man can come with that kind of message. That's all.
Thank you, sir. We understand that the way how exactly spirituality is being taken in different cultures and in different geography is always not the same. But what I understand, the true self of a person is always understood when we exactly understand that how to be clear. What even I have heard from Ms. Miljoy, even Mr. Sanjeet or Mr. Arnab, they all said that we have to be honest, we have to be clear within ourselves. But what I understand, that the journey of spirituality always And of course, it is for the reason of finding some solace and peace, right? So how much we are really trying to get that peace, because the peace actually is always hidden within the core of ourselves. But we keep on searching it elsewhere. We are going to the mountains, we are going to the ocean, we are going to the forest just to search the peace. But the peace lies within ourselves. So how exactly, maybe my next question, of course, I'm sure Karthik, who is also listening, and maybe some others who are listening, I'll come to you. If you have any questions, please keep in your mind, be ready. I just have a quick question. Today, we are all living a busy life. We are all, living a kind of a super busy, means most of us really are engaged in some kind of profession, competition. But how exactly we can find that mental solace? Because we are all having some anxiety. We all have certain pressure, some kind of competition. Some are healthy, some are unhealthy. But we are somewhere joining, as somebody has said in this forum, that we have to join the rat race. But what exactly we can do to stay away from that? The people who have money, they can go to the Bahamas, they can go to the Maldives, they can go to the New Zealand to spend their holiday. Why we do that? Again, just for a mental peace. We need to get a break. But everybody cannot go to a destination like that and enjoy. But what exactly we can do? Maybe if you can talk about maybe meditation, or maybe some soul searching, or maybe some, the exercise which you can do, or certain connection, like, if you can tell me something about yoga, or maybe certain way, how exactly we can interconnect the souls, and we can really search that peacefulness within ourselves. Anybody in the forum can take up this topic.
I am in this.
You are not properly audible. Hello.
Okay, is it audible now? Is it audible now?
Yeah, now
There
it's
we
better.
go.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
it's better.
So I would want to go back to another Indian great, Rabindranath Tagore. What he said in a poem that he had written was, "I have visited countries and places across the world, but and I've tried to be happy in places which are expensive, where I've spent a lot of money. But interestingly, I have not stepped out of my house to see the beauty of dewdrops on a leaf top." So here is where the happiness lies. Here is where the happiness lies. Happiness lies in the little things. Happiness lies in things which you will not necessarily in the monies. Happiness lies in little things that you enjoy. For example, I was saying, when I get on stage, it gives me a tingling feeling. It gives me that joy, which I don't know if even with a bank balance wouldn't give me. I don't necessarily need to go to
We understand
a
that.
private place.
Mr. Arnab, we understand that. My question is here, like to the forum here, that how to get the search of inward peace. I understand that you love speaking, so you get up on stage, you get excited, and you are getting the adrenaline rush. You are bang on. You are doing your job. But what about an office goer? What about a housewife? What about a small kid? What about a businessman who basically is every day fighting with the challenge? So what exactly?
May I share?
Yeah, Michael.
May I share one brief thought that something that I do, and it's been enriching me, and I know that this is something that it might be of value to someone else, and I'm hoping to learn more from all of you. Even though it was a religious practice of mine in the past, I still implement it now as a human aspect, because of being spiritual is that interconnectivity with people. So, for example, I had a bad week at work. Let's say, for example, my manager, who's incredible, but in this instance, hypothetically, was maybe, let's say, very cold to me, or very harsh to me, or unfair to me in the office.
Absolutely.
And now I've got this resentment, or this as a bad tasting inside of me, that you wish to spit out venom, or you want to retaliate in some way or form, either to someone else. What helps me is, as I mentioned in the beginning, was from my previous faith, and what I've utilized is worship music or meditation music or whatever. So a sense of music that for my ears to listen to and to bring my body into a form of a moment of peace, as well as to speak good over that person, to identify things that you want for that person in their life. So wishing good on that person, as a Christian would say, you would pray for them, and you'd pray for for good to come on them, and you would pray against these things that have come at you. So that is me implementing a spiritual form, and it's been working really well in my life.
Okay, Sanjit, you have to say a point on that.
Yeah. So again, I want to say something about everybody's saying how to find calmness or how to find the peace, or
Absolutely.
should we go for vacation to find the peace and all this stuff. So what is my take, or what is my what I want to say is that if you really believe in yourself, or if you really love your job or the thing you do, or if you are passionate about the things you are doing, so what I believe, you do not need any kind of vacation. You do not need anywhere to go. You will find your peace in that place only, and that is what I believe and what I do also. In the last, you can say, in the last 10 years or in the last 5 years, I haven't taken a vacation from my work. Okay, so why I do it? I love my job, or I am really passionate about it. And whenever I talk to the students, I get calm, I become peace. And when I find the student, they are doing really good in their profession, in their job. So from there, I get the peace, and I get the calmness, and I get the thing I want. So
Absolutely.
the thing is that no need to go anywhere, as Mr. Arnav Bural also said. Do not spend money on some expensive vacation. So there you cannot find the peace, you cannot find the calmness.
Exactly.
Stay grounded. Wherever you are, you will find that. And one analogy I want to share here. Once a person lost his keys, and he was trying to find that just below the lamppost. Below the lamppost, he was trying to find that key. Somebody said that, why did you lose your keys? He said that, I lost it in my home. I lost it in my home. So then he said, then why you are searching in the under the lamppost? Because light is there. Because the light is there. So that's why I'm searching
Amazing.
here. So our life is something like that. We try to find the peace somewhere where everybody goes. Everybody tries to find it out. So
I will go to Miss. Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjit. I'll go to Miss Miljoy, who has made a wonderful point here. And what he says is very interesting, that make a profession that you don't have to run out of that profession. So I really admire that. And I would request if Miss Miljoy can say something more on that. Make a profession that you don't have to run out of it. So, wow.
Yeah, that's not my quote actually, but Sanjit, it just reminds me, I've been seeing this quote recently, and what you were saying, that create a life where you don't feel like you're working, or it is a holiday. And I've been seeing this quote where create a life which doesn't require you to escape it. And Pramankar, you mentioned about yoga and retreats, etc. People are going on these yoga retreats, these holidays, to escape their life, that they're suffering burnout or disconnection. So if you can create a life where everything is a holiday, and therefore when you do go on a holiday, you're able to see it as it is, not, I better relax now because I've only got 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I will just quickly come to Mr. Karthik. Mr. Karthik, if you have any questions, who has been our ardent listener today. So Karthik, if you have any questions from the speakers, please, you may go.
The same thing. Everyone is searching for. I'm also in search of that peace or acceptance. When something you're visibly seeing, which is not the way it's supposed to be, but somehow it happens the other way around. What is supposed to be and what is happening is the other way around. how we accept it as it is and how we maintain that inner peace, which is a bigger problem which I'm facing, where I'm unable to overcome it.
Understood. I will go to Mohana. Mohana, if you can just take on this question and highlight on this. What exactly one should do to get peace, and what exactly your understanding as such? Yeah.
So speaking of this, for me, being spiritual is particularly embracing your feelings, even the uncomfortable ones. And I feel this is a part of being spiritual, and it makes one understand the human feelings, which are absolutely necessary. And that is how I cope up with my situations. And I see this is as one of the most important one.
Okay. So I would quickly go to here, Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael, if you are really tensed and when you feel that your mind is really busy, I would also like to highlight on that. But I would like to know from you what exactly you do to get peace. As you said, that sometimes you have hatred or sometimes some bitter things in your heart and you cannot really share it with everybody. What exactly you do to get the peace?
Well, yeah, that is my form of recentering to peace. But more so being involved in something that is greater than myself. So not doing my job. Let me take away from Korea, for example. I'm involved in a Portuguese community, in a cultural club where our purpose is to ensure that there is activities that keep the Portuguese community, which is very big in South Africa as immigrants, to be connected to home, basically. And being a part of that and doing that for free, doing that at no benefit of my own, instead of going out on a date on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night with let's say with a lady, having a meeting with the committee members to plan an event which is to no benefit of myself, but to the benefit of the community and perhaps my broader family, my kids one day. That often helps me find balance with the working life that I have as well. So that's one other form that I implement.
Thank you.
But I'm
so
still
much,
learning.
Michael. Thank you. Thank you. I will just quickly come to Karthik. I will answer it myself. Karthik, I just do something which I have been doing in my 25 or 26 years of my career. I have faced a lot of challenges and I keep facing challenges because I feel that everybody in the forum face challenges, even you too. But what I do always, that whenever I find that I'm circled by challenges and some situations which you really cannot accept, and neither we want to accept it in future as well, but we really find it very challenging. So what I do is I really disconnect myself from those things by taking an aerial view. I just give you a small example. Those who have traveled in airplane, they have seen that when gradually the flight takes off, the things below in the ground looks very small and small and small, and after some time it lost the vision. So sometime in life it is important to elevate yourself. And how will you elevate? That's a question. You can elevate yourself by chanting some holy rhythms which you know, or maybe by listening to certain music which Mr. Michael have said, or sometimes you can disconnect yourself by just controlling your breath. So today, there are different ways of practicing spirituality. One, by controlling the breathing. Second, by doing meditation, not by thinking anything, but just concentrating on the inhaling and exhaling. Third, you can really do the practice of spirituality when you really know that what you have done really right and honest to yourself, and you really try to control that, because you never have control on others' action, but you can always control your action, right? If somebody is angry on you, what you can do, you can always react on that, because most of the time I've seen people have a reactive mentality, which is a bigger mistake. We always are in a hurry to react, but sometimes we also have to be very much assertive and not just react. Understand that the person on the other side may be at more pain than you. The person who is shouting at you, he might be in a more miserable condition than you. So that's why it is important, my friend, to understand that sometimes when you elevate yourself, you see that you have pity or feel pity for that guy who is shouting on you because he's ignorant. I can give you an example of Jesus Christ. When everybody was dragging him and giving him the pain and putting him on the crusade, he said one thing to his followers: I forgive all. They don't know what they are doing. I forgive everybody because they don't know what mistake they're doing. One day they will realize. And the day they do that, that would be a day for knowing their mistake and knowing the problem. So I think most of the time when we are surrounded with anxiety, elevate yourself. That is what you can do. I can give you a very quick tip. During pandemic, I was locked in a foreign land and I was away from my family, and there was like people dying in my apartment. 5 to 6 people died. And at the time when I started this journey of PMA webinar, so I felt that I should not die tomorrow in the morning without passing the knowledge. And I started reaching out to my friends, and this positive mental attitude group I formed. And I formed a Facebook group where we have more than I think 1,000 people today, so who are basically always a part of this wonderful journey. So I did that for a purpose, just to make sure that I can get some like-minded people who can really pass on this information to the next generation. Because if you see, the biggest mission or the challenge of this life is to make sure that tomorrow we are living a better day, a better tomorrow. But there is no guarantee that we'll all open our eyes. But there is a guarantee that this moment, if you really get a control on your consciousness, if you get a control on the fact that you are really blessed, you are loved, you are really happy for the reason that you are being blessed by the Almighty, or if there is some superpower which you believe in, that is what really is going to make your day. I can give you an example of Steve Jobs, who went all the way to the India just for getting the mental peace. Or I give example of maybe John Travolta, the famous Hollywood actor, Julia Roberts. I give example of maybe Mark Zuckerberg, and so many big people. They all came to India, and they met somebody like Neem Karoli Baba somewhere in the Hardwar, and then he shown them a way that it is important to really find. But when they came, unfortunately, Neem Karoli Baba has already passed away. But they have met his disciples. They understood the context of Indian spirituality. But one thing they realized, that the center of all this discussion lies where exactly the reason why you are here. The reason that why exactly tomorrow I'll be even rising up. Right? So what you do every day, make sure that you are actually honest to yourself, you're sincere to yourself, and you do your thing. Leave the actions for others. And don't think that your life is basically getting controlled by others. Because no one has the capacity to have remotely control you or to have a control on your life. Right? So I think this is something which you can do. Maybe we can give chance to other speakers where they can come in. Miss Miljoy, if you can just come and tell us something about your energy realms, so that people like Karthik and the other audiences will be watching this forum, they can benefit it. Yes, Miss Miljoy.
I think you mentioned breath, and what I always say is life is better when we're breathing. But actually not many people even take note about their breath. There's a lot of executives that I work with, and they speak really fast, and their breath goes from their nose to their throat, and they wonder why they get into burnout. Their adrenals are pumping, and they go from one meeting to another speaking really fast. And just taking that moment to breathe to where their belly button is, the center of their body, changes their perspective. And as you were talking about, Julia Roberts and all the Hollywood stars going to India and getting, meditation and Eastern kind of therapies, it just reminds me of this TV show called Beef. It's on Netflix, and it's they have a road rage. And there's a comment in there, and he says, the two people are fighting, and he says, do you go to therapy? And she's like, yeah, I've been to therapy. And he says to her, because she's Asian, and he says to her, you're a great example of why Western therapy doesn't work on an Eastern mind. And,
wonderful.
and that made me pause, because I think, isn't it interesting that a lot of Eastern therapies or Eastern ways of being is very internal. Meditation is internal, yoga is internal. It's to go inside, qigong, even kung fu. It's all internal, even though it's external. However, the Western therapies are all very external. It's talking, expressing. And then that just kind of gets me into thinking, wow, that's the yin and the yang. That's the masculine and the feminine. That both actually need to work together, because in Asian culture, we tend to hold a lot of our values, opinions, and therefore we don't have boundaries, because we go inside for our healing, but we also need to go outside so we can set those boundaries and say, no, that's not allowed to come in. So that's as you were speaking, that's what came up for me.
What exactly do you think? I just quickly come to Mr. Sanjeev. What do you think is the influence, as Ms. Miljoy has said, what do you think is, or maybe Mr. Arnab, whoever is available, you can tell me what exactly the influence of Eastern Oriental thought, or maybe I can call this as maybe the traditional Indian thought, which has been coming from Patanjali, which has been coming from the Buddhism or the Jainism. What exactly do you think is the influence on spirituality? If you can just give a little bit of highlight on that.
It has come from both Indian as well as Asian. So it's completely, so different sets of thoughts have culminated from different parts of Asia. And all of it has primarily concentrated towards the East. And all of them, like Miljoy was saying, is internalized. So it's about going inside, which is why we kind of want our families together as well. You know, it is recently that we are spreading out. We are actually going out into smaller flats rather than larger houses where larger families stay. In India, we also have seen earlier, we used to have 40, 50 plates for dinner every night. And now, and the Western culture was hardly to or absolutely at dinner every night. So
I think there is some difficulty, Mr. Arnab, in listening. I would allow Mr. Sanjit to come in. Maybe when we have a better network, we'll come to you. Mr. Sanjit, if you can just highlight on that.
Yeah, that is, what I think that about the yoga, meditation, and all this stuff. These are the centuries old or thousands years old. India has been doing this for the last thousand years. But recently we are seeing all this stuff coming on the surface. We are talking about yoga, you are talking about meditation. So what I realized that why it is happening, why Indian people could not understand, or why they took so long time to understand the value of meditation, to value of yoga. So this thing happens, we always try to get some validation from the different sources. So when that Western countries started giving the importance, or started validating this yoga and this thing, we also started doing all these things. We started talking about yoga, talking about meditation. But the thing is that it is Indian culture. It is Indian. You can say it is the discovery of Indian sages, Indian great people. So, but we have to do it. We have to do it to get the peace, to get the calmness, to get the to find the purpose of our life.
I will just quickly come to this point. This is very interestingly picked up by you, Sanjit, that when we got validated by some Westerners that yes, it is something good, and then you do that. Somewhere it gives me a feeling that no matter whatever we are doing, but the culturally or maybe society-wise, if we see, we are sometimes always expecting a validation from the powerful one. And when it is being given, we always take that, of course. But today, regardless of the fact it comes from Western school of thought or Eastern school of thought, what is more important for us to understand that how to get that? I think what exactly is the remedy? We are talking more on remedy. So today, it is important that what exactly are the practices which you should concentrate? I would really ask maybe some of our, the speakers who are there, maybe even if you, what exactly, maybe 1, 2, 3 things you would really recommend our viewer today? What exactly you will think that after this webinar, what they should start doing so that really become spiritually recharged from tomorrow morning? Anyone can come on that. Ms. Miljoy, Mr. Arnab, Mr. Sanjit. what exactly do you think we should be doing?
I would go back to breathing. Start breathing.
All right.
Start being aware of your breath and what that creates.
Okay. And maybe Mr. Michael, what exactly do you think you should be giving a tip to the listener today, that who basically are maybe the young birds or maybe the teenagers, or what do you think like we should be doing?
One thing that was a reminder for me today whilst listening to all the great speakers here was something that I've been implementing as of quite recently, and it's been great, is that especially if you're in your early 20s or in your teens, to that audience, taste different things, try different things. You know, I studied law, but not to practice law. Now I'm doing recruitment. Who knows what the next 5 years might hold? But identify what are those characteristics, sit back and say, in my life till my age of 25, 20 years old, what is it that really comes to me a lot naturally, and where do I find that inner fulfillment within myself, and start narrowing that down. And then as life goes, enjoy the journey of life and be patient with it. That's my one tip.
Thank you. Mr. Sanjit wants to make a point here. Yes, Mr. Sanjit?
Yeah, there's one interesting thought came in my mind, that if you really want to have peace, if you really want to have calm, find someone who is in need, okay, and try to make it a habit of helping someone every day. So that is also I do in my life. I help someone every day in some way or the other. So this is what I do, and I have made it a everyday practice. If I find someone who is in need, who needs any kind of help, it can be financial help, or it can be some help in some other way. So I do some small thing. Maybe just today only, I was coming from a seminar, and there I found a rickshaw puller, in my area, rickshaw puller. He was having a problem, taking the rickshaw, because it was a slope. It was a kind of like this. So what I did, I just gave him a helping hand to take the rickshaw into the road. So every day I make this habit, do some help to everyone in any way.
I just wanted to tell that rickshaw is a cart in India, which is basically a tricycle, which is basically being pulled by a man, because still we have the cart which is being driven by a man, which runs on 2 wheels and a man is pulling. And sometimes it's a cycle rickshaw, we call it rickshaw. So it's just like a version of a tricycle kind of a thing. Still, this exists in India. And particularly if you go in Calcutta, you will find there are hand-driven cars people used to run, but now it is banned because of the congested traffic. In the metropolitan, we cannot see a lot of rickshaws, but if you go sometimes in the suburban places, of course, you can see rickshaws. These are the best ways of traveling in the small lanes. So thank you, Mr. Sanjit, for, I would just like to conclude this session. I'm really happy and glad that all of you have made such invaluable points, but I just wanted to conclude by saying that, whatever you do and whatever you really preach, what is really important is at the end what you practice. And that is what is really important for all of us to remember, that we might read big books, we might read novels, we might listen to the YouTube podcast, but what is important is really at the core of our heart, next time when we think of peace, when we think of mindfulness, when we think how to really get the self-actualization, or we want to know that how to really start my spiritual journey, I think the first thing you need to do is be honest to yourself. Be honest to yourself for the fact that you are not yourself just because you are having a name given by your parents. You are not because of the fact that you have got an authority or a power in your chair, or not because of the societal status. You are because of your true self within your heart, what you are. So I think that is the cause. That is the cause. Every morning you wake up, you just do not look at the mirror and ask a question to yourself, who am I? So you will always get an answer that you are the true self for which you have really risen up in the morning to make sure that you are really going to make an impact in the positive way, which is going to make life beautiful for others. Sometimes we cannot see the beauty in the nature. Miss Miljoy somewhere said that how we can realize the beauty lies on the onlooker. So we need to appreciate the goodness, the beauty around us. The small things which we can do, pay our regards to the elders. Sometimes I have seen, why exactly the problems happen in business. Most of the time, the problem happen in the business because of the ego. There are a lot of ego. People are always having super ego. They always want to make sure that I am the best. Sometimes you have to surrender, which we did not discuss. I think somebody was asking that how to get acceptance. It is surrender. But surrender does not mean that you are giving up. Surrender means that you are telling that I am basically accepting the fact that this is what I don't know. I may have so many books. I give you a small example. Once one philosopher read 5 good books and he thought that I know everything. I have a lot of knowledge. I go out to the world and give lectures. But when he read 2,500 books, then he realized that he doesn't know nothing. So I think you have to activate the learning mode. So every human being should accept the fact that I'm still a student. So if you're getting the learning, you have the fact that you surrender. Yes, Mr. Arnab, you want to
Once I was holding. Yes, I had a fact there. Right there. And the first thing I did was I had this topic was customer engagement, patient engagement. So I particularly went there. The first thing I said is accept this from me, that you guys are far better than me in your medical knowledge. I have seen all that. I started my life. And believe me, after that, their openness to receive my information on how to deal with people became much open, much more accepting, and much more flexible. And at the actually said, Arnab, it was an amazing way that you gave it to us. I said, no, it was not. It was just an amazing way that you did it, because I let you take it that way. I opened you up.
Agreed. Thank you so much. So I think this is really important what Arnab is also trying to say, that sometimes it is very important that when we just do not give up. So I think when we say we are surrendering, we should really give room to others. Most of the time the conflict happens in the team when people are actually trying to make sure that I am the best. So at times being spiritual is like, let the person have the room, let the person have the breather, so that you can really go on to the next level. And sometimes when you have always a conflict going in your mind that how exactly to settle down, I think you should always move on to the next level by saying that these are not really important, by forgiving. So how many of you can forgive tomorrow? That is important. We always are very reactive. So somebody has done a wrong to me, I always want to take a revenge. So don't do that. Forgive. If you can forgive, I think you are a superhero. A superhero can only forgive. So you forgive the people and then you move on to the next level of your spiritual journey. So I think these are very important. So I said that be ready to surrender, be ready to forgive, be ready to move ahead in life just by understanding that you have to practice what you are saying, being sincere to yourself, being truthful to yourself. And when you can show the mirror to yourself, I think you have already progressed in your spiritual journey from point A to point B. So this journey, as I started by saying, this is a spectrum of spiritual journey and we're all part of that. I'm sure everybody would be doing these things from tomorrow and from the next moment. And this discussion on spiritual journey will continue. I'm sure all of you are really blissful and blessed by today's discussion. And I'm really thankful to all the wonderful speakers who have really given their time. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for making your points. And we'd like to come back with such interesting topics. And I'm sure I will get your wonderful cooperation and support in the similar way. This is just an endeavor to make sure that we are passing on some good thoughts, some good vibes to thousands and lakhs of people, millions of people who are going to watch this video, and they are really going to be benefited. And maybe next time we would also reconnect and regroup for such interesting topic where we would be sharing some cause of positive thinking and positive living. Thank you so much. Stay blessed, stay positive.
Thank you.
Thank you. So nice to meet all of you.
Me too.
You're on.
Okay.